Hello and welcome to Snack Time. Hooray! Graham's not here today, but I'm going to hold down the fort, and I got my loyal co-hosts with me, Henry and Lucas. How you guys doing?
Hey, Andrew.
Doing pretty well.
Good. All right, so I am going to be picking up where Graham left off last week with his quote-unquote playthrough or playing of Dynamite Headdy. I'm actually gonna play the game, not whatever he was doing.
Left off face down in a ditch.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, this is my favorite Sega Genesis game and one of my favorite games of all time, and it's incredible and it's incredibly difficult.
Is this the Retron UI?
Yes, this is all running through the Retron 5.
Okay, Andrew, humor me and pretend I don't know what that is.
What is? Dynamite Headdy or the Retron?
No, Retron.
Retron? Okay, so, we talked about it briefly last week.
It's pretty.
It looks so good on the Retron, yeah. So, basically, the Retron 5 is a system that lets you play Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Game Boy Advance, and Famicom, and I guess technically Super Famicom as well. Carts, and it all runs through emulation, so it looks really nice through HDMI, but you use the actual carts and all that. So it is a great value if you are not a fan of having a bunch of old systems hooked up at once, and also if you just want a way to play your carts on HDTV without it looking like crap.
Man, I'm going on the web. It looks amazing. That is one sleek system.
Yeah, so yeah, this is well worth it if you are, want to play some retro games and just, don't want to deal with the hassle of setting up your old systems. And they look, like I said this last time, but they look incredible in HDTV through the HDMI cable. So I think that alone was worth it for me. But yeah,
very cool. I wanted to say, no wonder this game was made by Treasure, because Snackers, I was talking to Andrew before the stream, and I mentioned that I had a bit of history with Dynamite Headdy. The history was that I watched one of my best friends play this. He had a Genesis, and we probably spent weekends trying to beat this game. Could never get past Twin Freaks. That was burning in my brain, and now I realize it makes sense because this game was made by Treasure.
Yes, this is a very difficult game.
Revel in making their games impossibly difficult, but fun.
Let me. Okay, so the North American version of this game basically didn't have continues. The Japanese version did, but the North American version had continues, but they were very, very hard to obtain. Right. So basically, once you run out of life, you just got to start from the beginning. Versus the Japanese version, you pretty much start from the beginning of the last world you did automatically every time. So
you can just continue indefinitely.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, this is one of the rare examples of the US version being a lot more difficult than the Japanese version, simply because they removed what seems like an obvious thing to keep in, especially since this game is pretty difficult. So what I'm going to do, since I'm using the Retron, is I'm going to create a save state at the beginning of every world. And some may consider that cheating, but I consider that evening the odds. So
I call that
replicating the original experience.
Yes, exactly. So
I would also say you're using the resources you have at hand.
Exactly. Now, I mean, if I really wanted to cheat, I would create save states after every level. But I'm not a dirty cheater, so I'm just going to play it as close to the original version as possible. Now, the one downside of that is, okay, so this is 2-1. All right, so here, look, I'll show you.
Remember when Graham was stuck on that boss forever?
Yeah, he's really easy.
This is. I'm excited to see it. It's got really classic Genesis colors. I'm super impressed with the Retron. Menus, everything looks really sharp. I'm excited to watch you play. How does it control, Andrew? Has it aged well?
Yes, definitely. I'm actually using the Genesis 3-button controller, which is the one I originally used when I played.
You still have a Genesis controller?
Sadly, I didn't when I bought the Retron, so I had, for like a brief period of time, had to use the Retron controller, which isn't the best controller.
Right.
But it was okay enough to like test things out. But then I went out and bought a Super Nintendo and Genesis controller just to have them again.
Now, where did you find those, old boy? Because those aren't exactly sold at Walmart anymore.
Good old eBay.
Good old eBay.
Good old eBay.
Were they expensive?
No. The Super Nintendo controller was maybe a little less than $20, and the Genesis one was $10. And this is the Genesis 3 button, like I said, so it's a little cheaper than the 6 button, which is probably the more popular option for obvious reasons.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, it's still a good controller. It's just, you know, I just wanted to get the controller that I am used to, which is I got a bonus thing.
I'm proud of you.
Retro game stuff seems to have gone down in price pretty significantly lately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you're
looking
unless you're looking for Super Nintendo stuff, then that's pretty much always going to be expensive, I feel like.
Or Suikoden 2. That's still like $150.
For the most part. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's probably like digital markets and stuff making the prices go down. But like I was at a convention recently, and this guy had this whole table of old games set up, and I didn't spend more than like $20. I got like 3 games.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It's a good deal.
All right, so
granted, 2 of those 3 games were old WWF games, so that may have
those games,
I should have guessed.
or at least some of those games hold up pretty well.
Andrew, I hope you're better at basketball in real life than you are at this minigame.
No, not at all.
Because this looks, I don't know, this looks pretty tough though.
It's not bad.
You're distracted because you're talking to us.
Yes, there you go.
You would have got 5 baskets a year ago.
Yeah, I mean I would have been the king of this court, but instead
Right.
I'm just I'm talking to you guys. You guys keep distracting me with your
Lucas.
video game talk and retro games and
Let's talk about some games while we're on the subject of video games.
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about Amazon purchasing Twitch for guess how much money?
I know the answer, but
$2.
I'll take a guess that isn't the right answer, and that is $100 million.
I thought you were going to go the other way with the Dr. Evil thing and go $1 million.
Sorry, I could have
purchased it. I know, it was still good. I appreciate it. $1 billion is the price tag we're hearing. Sounds like a lot. Might be worth it. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? Lucas, what do you think about Amazon reaching deep into their pockets for Twitch?
I'm pretty indifferent on the whole thing.
Whoa, Lucas, take it easy. This is a family podcast here.
I think Twitch is really cool, but I don't know if Amazon buying it will really have a significant effect on anything.
It does seem a little strange. I imagine, this is a little quick side story, but I was in New York for work, and we went to a charity golf tournament in Brooklyn, and in the clubhouse, I ran into John Goodman, who was filming something. I didn't have the courage to say anything to him. I know. It was just sitting... I came out of the bathroom, and he was sitting right in a chair facing me. I'm totally freaking out.
That's terrifying, actually.
I know, but apparently he was filming something for Amazon's going to do something like Netflix, where they're going to create their own unique TV series and original content.
Actually, they've been doing that for a little while now, actually.
Well, they have been doing that for a while.
Yeah.
I was, unbeknownst to me, so I imagine this, maybe they're just trying to get a piece of the online space pie.
And they're doing...
It's kind of weird why Amazon would do. I guess they got Amazon TV, and they got Amazon Plus, and all that other stuff, so...
We've got the pseudo-game thingy coming out, too, so...
I sound totally uneducated, but I think people look at $1 billion and say that that's a lot of money, but when you look at like other purchases, like to me, Amazon buying Twitch is no more, I guess, crazy than Facebook buying Oculus Rift for $2 billion. It's just sort of that's the nature of these digital giants, where they look at a product and they look at, is it worth buying it now for $1 billion, or do we want to either face it as a competitor later, or when we try and buy it later when it's going to be valued even higher. It's worth buying it now. And to Amazon, $1 billion is not, frighteningly enough, is not really a ton of money, right? It's not going to bankrupt the company. It's just crazy.
I just don't know enough about Amazon's ethical history to, I guess, really have an opinion at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine the major concern would be that it would negatively impact Twitch because so many people that use it for streaming, and there's so many still question marks about, rights to games and music and all that stuff. So there
was talk a while back of Google buying it, and people were up in arms about that, and that's totally understandable.
Yeah.
Because they've done such a great job with YouTube so far. But I just, other than Amazon's weird history of kind of bottlenecking book retail sales, I haven't really heard much about their other practices. So I don't know.
I guess we'll find out. Andrew, what do you think, old boy?
Oh man, what Lucas was saying, definitely better than Google. But I think this is more a like purchase for the future, less than a purchase for right now, if that makes sense. I think this is them saying, okay, this is something that other companies are looking to buy. The Google deal either just fell through, or they weren't sure about it. I don't know. But I have a feeling that was in the works at the very least. But basically, yeah, I think this is something that Amazon looks at and says, all right, we may not know what to do with Twitch right now, but we can buy them, leave them alone, and then hopefully, utilize Twitch as a service in the future for whatever other platforms we might come across. And, of course, Amazon is able to give them more resources than they had on their own, so maybe that'll mean more improvements on the back end for them. Because they've definitely had some struggles with some server issues in the past, and all this content ID stuff happening with streaming audio, game like music and all that. And I don't know, that might become more of an issue now because Amazon is a bigger company. But
it probably will definitely be an issue.
And I know people are like, okay, Hitbox, everyone go to Hitbox, and Hitbox seems cool too. But then it's like, well,
then Hitbox will take off.
Yeah, Hitbox is going to take off, and then 2 to 3 years they're going to be facing the same problems. It's just going to keep happening until the entire internet is covered by
It shows how, I work in the online marketing space, so I know pretty much a lot of people know this. It's not just unique to me, but pretty much every purchase for something like this is basically for ad revenue and views, right? So when you've got something like Twitch, which like 2 years ago, if somebody said it would have been bought for $1 billion, they would have laughed you out of the building. But now, it is a thing. Watching other people play games is a thing, because a lot of people don't have time to play games themselves, but they still want to kind of get the experience. Maybe they watch a stream of their friends doing it. So more and more, the more views they get, the more valuable it gets. Doesn't matter how long it lasts. Everything just moves at a lightning pace. So I think it may actually be a wise purchase. I don't think it'll be the end of the world. It probably won't be a knock, somewhere in the middle. That's usually what these kind of purchases lead to. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. Moving forward, speaking of moving forward, I'm going to lead the talk on this
Actually,
next piece.
one second. I just want to say hello in the chat room. This is a late response, but hello to our new staff writer, Ryan Dunn. He's in the chat joining us.
Right, nice.
Replacement.
Yeah. Ryan, just a heads up, if you want to play this game, you can get a cart for super cheap, or it's available through the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection.
This is an affordable game?
Yes. I actually got my cart for 99 cents at a local game store.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if that's how cheap it is on eBay, but I don't think you'll find yourself spending more than $10 for a cart of this. And again, it's on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. It might be on Steam as well. I could be wrong about that. I know Sega released a bunch of their games on Steam a couple years ago, like all of their classics. So,
it's like $20 at the most. On eBay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. For a treasure game?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's crazy. Yeah, this game is kind of, even though it has a cult following, it's not super rare or anything, so I definitely recommend it.
There's a lot of listings for the Game Gear version. Do you know anything about that?
I have never played the Game Gear version because I have never owned a Game Gear. I had a Sega Nomad. I don't know if you know what a Sega Nomad is, but that thing was that was interesting. If you wanted to kill a bunch of batteries in about a few hours, that's a good way to do it.
Oh my god, I remember that
the Game Gear did.
Yeah, that Game Gear did the same thing. This boss battle is a pain in the ass, so I might die, but basically you don't really have...
I remember the boss battles being insanely difficult on this game.
You don't have full control over your character because you're being held by this cat thing.
This cat's a jerk.
His name is Trouble.
All bosses cats?
It's the same cat, but no, it's usually him, usually failing to take you down.
He's got a Robotnik thing going on. He's got a lot of...
Gotcha.
His name is Trouble Bruin. I think I mentioned that last time.
That's awesome.
He's a cool cat. He's kind of just one of those lame villains that shows up and thinks he can stop you and then doesn't do anything, and then the real villain shows up.
If I'm playing, there's a very good chance he'll stop me. I'm an ego booster for the bad guys.
But definitely if anyone is interested, that you can get this game for relatively cheap. It's fantastic. It's definitely very tough, and again, if you're playing on the original cart, you're going to have a lot of trouble playing the US version because of the lack of continues. and how weirdly difficult they made it in North America. But it's worth it. I think it's worth it to persevere and
certainly a best to own forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Best to play now. Also.
Best to play now. Very cool.
Yes.
Let's move on, just because we got a lot to talk about, not enough time. This is probably the DLC announcement I've been the most excited about for any DLC ever. Mario Kart 8 DLC.
What game was that?
Hallelujah! It's a game called Mario Kart 8.
What kart?
You may have heard of Mario. Oh, here we go. All right. Sorry, Americans. It's Mario Kart 8 DLC. Graham's just going to be shaking his head at that one. Mario Kart 8 DLC, and this blows me away, because this is one of the things where you're online and you're posting or you're reading, you're just like, Nintendo, just do X. This would make you so much money and make so many people happy, but they never do it, and this time they've done it. They're introducing new tracks, new cars, new characters. You guys got to be pumped about this one.
I've kind of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lucas.
That's pretty much all I had to say for now.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Yes, thumbs up.
This is great news. I'm glad they're finally doing the thing they should have done a while ago, which is bring other Nintendo characters into Mario Kart. Even through DLC. I just want to also point out this level is called Close Encounter.
It's a pun.
Yeah, all the levels in this game are puns based on movie titles. Because I don't know. Anyway, yeah. This is great news. I kind of have fallen off the Dynamite Headdy the Dynamite. Oh my god, this is what happens when I play a game and try to talk about another game at the same time.
Not enough post-release support for Dynamite Headdy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. I've kind of fallen off the Mario Kart train or Mario Kart recently, but I'll gladly jump back in when that first DLC pack comes out, because as cool as it is playing as Link, getting the Blue Falcon, that's the best. Let me just say that.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty, yeah. And how about the fact that we get like Animal Crossing stuff and F-Zero stuff, and I just new tracks. This is, oh my. I mean, they could probably do a release of this. I mean, I know they're stretching it out, so we got one available November 2014, one in May of 2015. I mean, they could release new packs like this every 6 months for the next 5 to 10 years, and they would still sell well. Because that's the one thing I remember playing Mario Kart Wii, and I played a lot of Mario Kart Wii. Sorry, Mario Kart Wii. I played probably 500 hours of Mario Kart Wii, and by the end, we've just played the same tracks over and over and over and over again. We're just dying for additional tracks. This is a genius move.
Yeah.
This could make Mario Kart as financially successful as any game Nintendo's done, at least within reason. This is going to help push the game's sales way past its release date. This is the kind of stuff Nintendo should be doing going forward and should have been doing for the last 10 to 15 years.
Damn right.
I think this is something like a fan, like if I had read this, like not officially, I would be like, yeah, that's a great idea, but it's obviously some guy just fanficking saying, wouldn't it be cool if Link was in Mario Kart or Mario Kart, or like, wouldn't it be cool if you could drive through an Animal Crossing? Like, yes, it would be cool, but Nintendo would never do that because they like to hate us sometimes. But they're actually doing it. I'm totally blown away.
My question is, if this takes off, if it does well, and I guess if they keep doing it, what could end up happening when the time for a new game comes?
Yeah, but I mean, we had how many years between 8 and Mario Kart Wii?
Yeah, I mean, it was a new console, but will they continue to release Mario Kart games, or
oh yeah, I mean,
perhaps rebrand it?
This is the thing.
I would say a long time. I mean, we had Mario Kart 8, but the time frame between Mario Kart Wii, which was released April 27th, 2008.
Wow.
And Mario Kart 8, which was released this year. So that's 6 years.
Well, there's also Mario Kart 7.
I know, but I don't count that one because it's a handheld, and I'm biased against handhelds.
Well, then what are you doing in games journalism?
I know. I'm going to write I'm going to write a serotonin about how I hate handhelds because I'm
biased against handhelds. That's my job.
Come on, man.
Anyways,
okay, go ahead.
As far as whenever the new installment comes is irrelevant to what I'm trying to ask. It's what are they going to do once that time comes? If this DLC does well.
Yeah,
will
does
it still be,
does the DLC transfer over? Yeah.
Will it be Mario Kart 9 or will it be like Nintendo Super Fun Racing Adventure?
Mario Kart as a brand is too popular for them to change the name.
Yeah.
Also, I don't. Here's the thing about Mario Kart is they only release one per console, so system. So we won't get the next Mario Kart until whatever the next Nintendo system ends up being.
The Wii set.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the next Nintendo DS, or maybe whatever that ends up being. That they may be combining the two, the handheld and console thing that people are talking about. Who knows? Who knows?
So I'm so excited. This is
just
hopefully
interesting
this is
to
a
see
trend.
if Mario Kart is actually changing in a significant way. You know what I mean?
I'm sure what a lot of people are going to say. The only downside I've heard to this is, this is great, but multiplayer battle mode. When are they going to? And to me, I think they're looking at it. They got to bring back the classic battle mode tracks. You think, guys? Right? I mean, are they going to look at sales for this and assess the situation there? Because they know that's really the only real complaint I've heard about Mario Kart 8 is the battle mode on regular tracks does not work.
Yeah, it's not good.
Lucas, I'm hearing a difference from you once again, sir.
I just never really cared for battle mode.
Never care for battle mode. But you understand many do, and that it might be good to include a couple of tracks on there.
Yeah.
But it would not affect your enjoyment of the games.
Right. It just, I don't know if it seems like a thing that they really care about.
Well, they obviously don't care about it much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if this DLC is any indication of like a move forward for the series, if they will be interested in going back.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm sure.
Like, that's the most exciting thing to me about this is Mario Kart's been pretty much stuck in its ways for a long time.
It has.
And this, even if it's just like including other franchises, it's still a sign of something different happening, something new. So that's what has me interested and exciting.
Yeah.
Is Mario Kart changing, basically?
It might. I mean, again, sales are king, so I'm sure they'll have a look and see if people. I imagine if the DLC is strong, and I would imagine. I mean, they've sold I think a couple million copies of Mario Kart 8. If
sold pretty well.
I can see
fastest selling Wii U game.
I can see at least a third of those buyers getting the DLC. It seems like
and the price point is pretty good too.
I think it's fair. I think it's very fair.
I do think it's crazy that the second DLC pack isn't coming out until May of next year.
I think they're doing that on purpose to stretch it out. Right?
Yeah, but man, that's a long time. That's a year after the game came out.
They're doing that and also asking people to pay for it now.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, you could pay for this now. You won't get it for another close to a year. But hey,
yeah, Well, so it's not perfect, but sorry, Lucas, go ahead.
I was going to say I think the Mercedes stuff launched today.
Yeah, it did.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Awesome.
Yeah, but
it's so perfect though, like for Wario.
Yeah, I know. Some characters won't look good on, but yeah. Let's move on. We got still more to talk about. This is equally exciting. Lucas, you got to be excited about this. There was a Smash Brothers roster leak on the internet.
Yeah, I've been sort of paying attention to people talking about it.
What do you think?
If Duck Hunt is real, then I'm happy.
That's the best new character, hands down.
I so hope that's true.
Did you guys manage to watch the videos before they went down?
I saw like a clip of Baby Bowser or Bowser Jr.
Yes, isn't he great though?
It seems pretty interesting
with the freaking clown car or whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, clown copter.
Yes, clown mobile.
Yeah, I at the same time I kind of like these leaks. At the same time I don't. But if they again go all out with things like the Duck Hunt dog and things like that, more power to them, man. I mean, I don't know what Nintendo's smoking, but just let them keep doing it. At this point, I mean, I think it's more the excitement that we don't know what could happen like that. If they can include that, they can pretty much include anyone. I'm still hoping for Geno from Mario RPG to show up. But I mean, hell, if they got that, if they got Shulk from Xenoblade, if they got, I'm thankful for whatever we get. I kind of like hearing about this stuff.
Yeah, the marketing for this game has been just weird enough to make the leak more interesting than it probably should be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because they've been so wishy-washy about details and stuff.
To be fair, Nintendo's
last time.
Yeah, Nintendo's marketing for the whole Wii U thing has been bizarre to say the least. So I'll take a leak here and there.
Yeah.
I would like to think so, or else your bladders, you're not going to be doing too good. Sorry.
I get it.
I get it.
Yeah.
Andrew, just real quick on the game, how would you judge your performance so far on Dynamite Headdy?
I'm doing way
I think
better.
you're doing pretty well.
Way better than I thought I would.
I don't know.
Way better than I thought I would be doing.
Because you told me before that you'd be doing terribly, but you seem like a master of this game, so terribly for you means amazing for a lot of people.
It's only going to get worse. This is still Easy Town. You know, Easy Town? Everyone's favorite town?
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a trip there. Very cool. Yeah, no, what I can dream for is 3DS and Wii U intercompatibility, but I know that's probably not going to happen. But interesting to see them released on both systems. Obviously one of the best fighting party games ever released. I hope really helps sell the Wii U. I think they could do a really good job with it. Yeah, not much else to say. Do we even have a release date for the next Smash Bros?
The 3DS one comes out.
I don't remember what it is.
The 3DS one comes out at the beginning of
October.
October, and the Wii U one does not have a release date yet.
Sounds like I gotta get myself a 3DS.
I mean, it'll probably happen like before Christmas, or
This year?
maybe a little afterwards.
No, Lucas, don't get my hopes up and then dash them again. If you could just tell me they'll be out before Christmas, that'd be great.
Again, when was the first time?
I know. Oh, man. All right, let's move on. We, again, got a lot to talk about, not enough time to do it in. Let's talk about specifically some games that we have been playing. Lucas, let's start with you. You have been playing, shockingly enough, a wrestling game?
Say what?
Yeah.
What?
They keep coming out, and I keep
It's not your
devouring
fault.
them.
What are you supposed to do, not play them?
I couldn't not play them.
No, that's
like
that's impossible.
Anyways,
So which specific one have you been playing?
all right. So, kind of out of the blue, 2K put out a mobile, like, trading card game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called WWE Supercard.
Ooh.
It's
I get it. It's a card game, and it's also in the title.
yeah.
Genius.
So, there's like a million card games on the mobile market right now because that's kind of a thing that's taken off.
Right.
And this game pretty much follows all the same rules. You got your cards, different rarities, and you can like fuse them together to make them stronger, and feed little cards and others to make them stronger, and you just kind of play matches and get more cards and rinse and repeat until you're sick of it.
Okay. Is this a strange thing for the WWE to release? Or they try out their hand at almost every kind of merchandising, don't they?
Yeah, as far as video games go, it's pretty weird because usually it's just been kind of the vague wrestling simulator,
right,
of various forms. So, I guess WWE mobile games have been pretty weird. There's that like John Cena car game, and then
course there is.
like the beat 'em up with the Rock.
Yeah.
Apocalypse, I think it's called.
Oh my gosh,
That's a good name.
Yeah.
Lucas, how are overall like the newer? I haven't played a wrestling game since like No Mercy. How are like the really new wrestling games? Are they like Madden, where they just release a new one every year with like sort of a roster update, or are they still worth playing, or what do you think?
Okay, so I just got into wrestling like within the past year.
Oh, okay.
So I've been kind of filling in the blanks and like collecting the old games and stuff. But I jumped in with last year's game,
Right.
and it was really, really cool,
Uh-huh.
albeit like kind of goofy and buggy and all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah, sure. We gotta have bugs.
Yeah, but the interesting
You
thing
gotta.
is, THQ shut down.
Oh, of course.
2K took over, and they're putting their money into this new one, and it's going to be like a fresh start. Almost. They've poured tons of money into the look and feel of the game, and they're trying what seem like pretty significantly new things with the actual mechanics. So it's we're right in the middle of a big shift. Basically, it's kind of hard to say how it's going to shape up. But
I remember being jaded because No Mercy was one of my favorite games to play with my friends. Even my non-wrestling fans were totally into the game. And then, like, the first GameCube one came out, and it was such a disappointment.
Oh,
I think,
that game was awful.
Do you remember Oh, my
was
God.
It WrestleMania
X8? I think
like
that was it. It was done by Ukes or something, or what was the developer?
Yeah, that was
they're
Ukes.
they're the main guys.
I remember, like, No Mercy, your front grapple, you could do 17 different moves, I think, or something like that. And when I went to create all my moveset in Ukes, I think you could do 4 total. And I'm like, well, this doesn't make any sense. We're on a more advanced system with more buttons, and what? And it was just such a disappointment going through. I'm like, I would have taken No Mercy with just a graphics update. You know, with like a frame rate improvement. How many times have you heard that with a fan base in a series? By the way, so I was really disappointed. So it's nice to see that a lot of I do read a lot of reviews, and a lot of the reviews do say like there's just so much content, so many options that the modern games are pretty well done.
2K14 was really cool. I mean,
right.
You know, it had its jankiness, but it had this whole like WrestleMania history mode where you go through literally every single WrestleMania and play like the classic matches, and there's this whole universe mode where you can like basically poke your own promotion, depending on how dedicated to the game you are.
Yeah.
And it was just really in depth. So
very cool.
That happening again, but with 2K money behind it. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of the videos or screenshots, but it looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's like NBA 2K14, but with like John Cena and Bray Wyatt. And Goldust.
Goldust? Is it the same guy?
Goldust has been back for just a little over a year now.
Dustin, is it Dusty Reynolds or Reynolds? What is his name?
Yep.
I forget. Yeah.
How
old is he now?
He's pushing 60. I think.
He's wrestling and he's almost 60?
And he's in better shape than most of the younger guys.
That's amazing. Wow. Who does he think he is? Ric Flair?
What?
Oh, never mind. I was going to say, Ric Flair also wrestled for a long time.
He wrestled at a house show recently, which was weird, but he's pretty old. Goldust's brother is also a Dust now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you have Goldust and Stardust, and they're the weird tag team guys.
Amazing.
Yeah.
For them, it's I know whatever your thoughts are about professional wrestling, it is probably or whatever you want to call it, a sport or not, but for this case we will. In terms of toll on the body, that's got to be the most brutal.
Yeah.
Worse than pretty much anything. Wrestlers never age well. A lot of them die young. So to be in shape at however old he is and still wrestling is a miracle.
Yeah.
I saw him speak at a sort of a stand-up event earlier this year with my girlfriend, and I was shocked at how eloquent he was and well-spoken. He didn't stutter. Perfect, clear of mind. And how many headshots has that guy taken? And yet he seems to have a very clear mind. It helps that he probably never drank or smoked or anything, but just amazing. Anyway, I've rambled enough about wrestling. Andrew,
hey,
let's. You get to choose one game, and then I'll talk a little bit about Wolf Among Us. You've been playing a few games, Counter Spy, and a little bit of Diablo 3. Which one do you want to discuss first?
Let's do Counter Spy because it's the hot new thing on PS4 from last week. I'm about to die on Dynamite Headdy. So, hold on. Oh, no, alright. Okay, so yeah, Counter Spy, it's a new downloadable game on PS4, PS3, and Vita. It is a stealth action game. You basically play a member of an agency. Man, let me just say, this stage is brutal.
We may have picked the worst stage for you to start talking about a game. Yeah, this looks very Contra-esque.
This is the stage that always gets me. This is the one.
Contra-esque and like Battletoads-esque.
It's baffling.
Should we switch to me?
No, please. Let me continue. I have a lot to say about Counter Spy. Actually, I don't have that much to say about Counter Spy. There's not a lot to it. So it takes place during a kind of like the Cold War, except not. And you play as a spy, part of an agency called Counter, and you were kind of in between the two superpowers of the era, which not United States and not Soviet Russia, and they're both trying to blow up the moon. Why? I don't know. They just are, and you have to stop them. So you basically the game starts. There's much of a story. You just kind of that's set up, and then you just go, and you get to pick between one of the two different sides, and the levels are randomly generated, so it's different each time, or so they say. Cool.
Yeah.
And basically, you go there, you sneak in, you steal intel, and then you get to the end, and then that's it. And how much intel you steal will add up on a meter. And once you reach the top of the meter, you get to go to the final level, basically. And oh, jeez, this guy is
visually. I'll give you a break. This game looks similar. What do we got? Combination of maybe like Shadow Complex, Mark of the Ninja kind of thing,
Yeah,
where
it's got a
mostly
really cool
2D, kind of 3D-ish.
Yeah.
It's got an amazing art style. Very sort of like combination of updated graphics, but also like cel-shaded meets like 60s spy movie kind of.
You pretty much said it better than I could. It's kind of a basic stealth action game. The shooting is really good, controls well.
Right.
The stealth is
Okay.
solid but isn't unforgiving.
Yeah,
And whenever
I need forgiving stealth. I am terrible at stealth. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
yeah,
you guys.
no, it's fine. We've definitely reached that era where we're in like the era of stealth games where even if you think you're going to fail, you'll always have a way out. And this is one of those examples. It's definitely a little more strict in terms of stealth than something like Dishonored or maybe the recent Metal Gears have been, but even like the new Splinter Cell. But it's definitely got some of that where, yeah, you could pretty much shoot your way out of any situation. But the one thing you have to be wary of is the DEFCON level. And each side has its own DEFCON level. And basically once one of the sides reaches DEFCON level 1, they are very close to launching. And at that point, you have to be very careful. Now, that's what being able to choose between the two different sides allows you to do. It allows you to kind of balance between, this side, game over, guys. My first game over.
Oh, that's all right, man. I mean, you had to talk during Stair Wars, which looks to be like a very difficult level, so you did pretty well.
But hey, look at this.
Save state.
Yeah, baby. All
Good work.
So yeah. So basically, you pick between the two different levels at each point, and let's say the U.S. has a DEFCON level of 2 and Russia has a DEFCON level of 3. Obviously, you're going to want to go to Russia because it'll be easier to deal with. Because every time you get caught and the DEFCON level starts raising, like if a guard is calling in reinforcements or a camera sees you, it'll start going up, and then of course it starts getting harder. And then once it reaches 1 and you get past that, then a time limit will start, and that'll count. That could lead to a game over. Which is, no good.
Andrew, I gotta ask, this is for Counter Spy for PS4?
This is for PS4, PS3, and Vita, cross-buy.
Okay, so I'm not seeing like.
I
hate to sound cynical because I gotta say, I'm thinking about getting a PS4 soonish, but it doesn't look like this sort of is really. I mean, this looks like last gen. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it doesn't like I wouldn't get a PS4 for this game.
It's not worth buying a PS4 for. It's a pretty cool downloadable game that you'll probably burn through in 2 hours, from being honest.
Fine with it. Well, price point's probably what, $10, $15?
$15, yep.
That looks like that. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
It's one of those games. The reason it's so short, you can make the argument, is because, man, I'm gonna be stuck here for the rest of the night, guys. I apologize.
That's all right. Man. You're trying to pat your head and rub your belly.
Even after I stop talking. But yeah, so basically the random generation. My God, what am I saying? Okay, so...
Hey, come on, guys. I don't get any words wrong.
Yes,
Mario.
Okay, so yeah, the random generation of levels is interesting, but the levels all, even like between the two sides, they look very similar. Like the only difference between them is the U.S. side looks more American and more patriotic, and the Soviet Russia side is more, lots of red, lots of Russian talk in the background and stuff. But other than that, like the enemies are pretty much identical. The level layouts are very similar. So I found myself running into like obviously different levels, but they were similar enough that it wasn't like you didn't feel like there was that much difference between one side or the other, or even one level or another. But in a way, it's meant to like make it so there's not specific sets of levels. So replaying it, it's a little more interesting. But at the same time, it's not really. It doesn't really do a lot with the random generation. I'm going to keep saying that. Apparently, randomly generated levels. It's not like Spelunky or something. It doesn't feel that interesting in that regard. But the game is short enough that It's short enough
Don't worry
that...
about it. Hey, Andrew, we're very forgiving here.
No, I'm just getting frustrated with myself and this level.
Yeah, it's tough level, man.
But yeah, it's not...
Lucas,
it doesn't...
sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
I was just going to finish it up by saying it doesn't stay, like... It's short enough that it doesn't... That, to me, I never got bored of it, but if I started to do a second playthrough, I probably could see myself getting kind of bored of it. So, it's an interesting, cool little stealth game. I could see it grabbing hold of some hardcore stealth fans like myself. But beyond that, it's cool. It might be one of those games you wait for on sale to pick up, but...
Lucas, what are your thoughts? Hey, I was going to say I'll take quality over quantity any day. Lucas, do you find yourself... Do you like these indie games where you can beat them in a couple hours? I know you've got a family and stuff, so you don't have a ton, maybe not as much free time as non-kiddie people. Do you like the idea of games like that? Like, would Counter-Spy interest you?
It really depends. I mean, I'll play anything.
Right.
So, I feel like length of the game is not a big issue to me.
Right.
In general, I mean, back when I was writing the snack bar style guide that came up, and we kind of decided that, in general, the best way to look at a game as far as value is more of how you kind of perceive your time while you're playing it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It's less about, like, this game costs too much. That should never be a factor. Games drop in price all the time.
It should never be enjoyment divided by dollar spent.
Yeah.
It should sort of be taken as a whole experience.
Like, if a game feels like it's too short or too long, it's issues other than its length that are at play there. You know, you can play Metal Gear Rising, and it's 5 hours long, and it'll just blow by, or you can play, like, a game that lasts the same amount of time, but you feel how short it is more.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
And that's yeah.
Jeez.
So yeah, I'll totally play something that is 3 hours long as long as it's, you know, as long as I don't notice that it's only 3 hours long.
To answer the question in the chat from Chris Ingersoll, you have to beat Trouble Bruin. Climbing to the top doesn't matter. It just keeps going until you beat him. Sadly, so. That is the big problem, and he does that thing where he charges at you, which is the only way to hit him, but also you have to avoid him charging at you. So this is my least favorite level in the game, hands down. It's a problem.
Reminds me of the missile fight in Contra 4.
Oh, that was
I actually know what you're talking about. Yeah.
At least it's not as hard as nothing's as hard as Battletoads, but this is pretty tricky. Actually, that's a good question, Andrew. Do you have to reach the top or kill the cat?
I just answered.
I missed it.
Yeah, you have to beat Trouble Bruin to finish the level. The thing will just keep going.
It just
otherwise.
keeps going?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's tough. All right, well, this shows me for not paying attention. Serves me right.
Good job.
The reason I was so distracted is I really wanted to talk about Wolf Among Us. Can we do that real quick?
Yeah, we can give some general thoughts on Wolf Among Us.
Okay.
If anyone,
Lucas,
Lucas,
let's start with you.
I was going to say, if anyone remembers, we did a podcast back when the first episode came out. We talked about that was back in October of 2013, back when we were actually still doing the podcast. Wow. So, yeah, it took a while for the series to get finished.
Don't actually start with me because I'm like 2 episodes behind.
Oh, man.
Perfect. Let's start with me because we got to give Andrew a little bit of a break.
Hey, yeah.
You need to focus 100% of your mental energy to get past your least favorite level, old boy.
Yes, that's true.
Right?
Yes.
But of course, you do have to listen to me talk, which is distracting in itself.
I'm just going to ignore everything you're saying. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Andrew is a poopy head, dude.
People say poopy head?
Well, it's a family-friendly podcast, so I didn't want to claim what I really
got it.
Is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do what I did. I did what I do. I just do a diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-do with Telltale Games. The episode of content, I think, is kind of hokey, and I can't wait that long. There's no chance of waiting 2 months, so I just wait for the whole thing to be done, and then I play it in 2 or 3 sessions. So that's what I did with Wolf Among Us. I didn't touch it. I bought it, but I didn't touch it until Episode 5 was released, and like a week before that, that's when I started playing it. So I gotta say, overall, I really enjoyed it. Nowhere near Walking Dead level of enjoyment, simply because, and everyone pretty much will say, is that you don't get the same emotional connection to Wolf Among Us as you do with Walking Dead. Walking Dead's sort of meant to make you cry and pull at your heartstrings. But Wolf Among Us has got a lot of really cool stuff going for it. It's got this amazing, neo-noir thriller suspense kind of movie feel to it. Set in the 80s, so it's this grimy, dark city. but still very like colorful with neon lights and a lot of great characters. So overall, yeah, very good. I would play season 2, but again, it's hard not, even though they're totally different, I guess, genres. They're sort of in the same gameplay style as Walking Dead. I think I handicap myself because I can't not compare to it. Right, it's the same gameplay style. It's done by the same company. Obviously, hot on the heels of the success of Walking Dead. So I think compared to that, it wasn't close, but still a very enjoyable experience for me. Andrew, did you ignore all that?
What we're talking about? We're talking about video games, right?
Yep, we are.
Okay, all right.
Just say, Henry, you're a genius for what you just said, and we'll move on.
Henry, you don't know what you're talking about. I just want to say, okay, so you played the thing, you played it all in one go, basically. I mean, obviously, you took maybe a bit of a break between some episodes, maybe, but you probably didn't like wait as long as it took to release them.
Correct. I finished the whole thing probably within a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
maybe
so
2 minutes.
That's a good pace. I will say this, unlike The Walking Dead, which I think really benefits from the episodic nature. Damn it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
You should be sorry.
Damn it. Yeah. So basically, The Wolf Among Us, I think, really suffers from that. I think, even though it seemed like it would be a really good police procedural type thing, or episodic, it'd be perfect for that. I think some of the episodes, particularly the 3rd and 4th episodes, outside of some moments, were really weak, and it made the wait for the 5th episode that much harder. I think it definitely lost steam as it went along. I think the first episode is still the best. It sets a really good tone, and it sets up the characters really well, and has a really good, moment at the end, even though that's kind of nullified in the 2nd episode. It's a strong start, and it doesn't really keep up with that pace by the time you get to the other episodes. I feel like 4 in particular is kind of a drag. It doesn't really do much.
Episode 4 is a bit of a funk for them, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the same way with Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 4, not that great.
No, for me, I really didn't care, because it was just another part of the game to me.
Yeah,
but I can imagine if you were waiting 2 months for that, or 3 months even for that, and you're just edging to get to the end, I'd be pissed off for sure. And I think, Andrew, you cut out for me, sorry, so you might have said this already, but trying to remember, like, specific cues and clues and what people said from the previous episode, I mean, you forget. I mean, I forget stuff like hours later, let alone a couple of months before, right? I mean, they do a small recap and all that, but I think Wolf Among Us might be best played in one go.
Yes, I think Walking Dead benefits, like I said, from the episodic structure, but I think Wolf Among Us works really well as a whole piece, and I think even after having played an episodic, I can see, like, I don't know, I feel like the mystery in that game is really intriguing in the first couple of episodes, but by the time you get to the end of the 3rd, I feel like it kind of loses, like I said, it kind of loses steam, and it just kind of meanders a bit, and it's kind of just like, they adhere so strongly to the 5-episode structure that I feel like maybe if this was 3 episodes,
I was totally gonna go there. Do you think the game would have been? I agree. Do you think the game would have been stronger as a 3 or 4 episode game rather than a 5-episode game?
Because I think you could have cut out most of episode 4 and probably like half of episode 3, combine those into one episode altogether, and then like you would have been good. You would have been golden.
Yeah, I did. I won't spoil anything, but I did really like the final episode. I thought it was the strongest in the series. Certainly, 1 and 5 were my favorite. But
definitely.
Lucas, what do you think? I know you're on episode 3. I think you mentioned.
Maybe it's been a while.
Been a while. What are your preliminary thoughts with going through it right now?
I think that having it based on the actual, like how Walking Dead is based on the source material, but kind of a separate thing. Having this as like a prequel kind of limited them a lot.
Right.
But I think what really stood out to me about Wolf Among Us is how weird the stakes of the whole thing feel.
Right.
Because, I mean, I'm only part of the way through. Sorry. But nobody can, like, die. So there's not that sort of obvious presence of, a character could die in a shocking way. It leans a lot harder on character relationships because you know that those characters are still going to be around at the end.
Yeah, I'm with you. Prequels to me should be taken very, very lightly. I don't think they're a very... I know by definition I shouldn't say all prequels are bad, but to me it sort of screams of like, well, we want to continue this franchise, but we don't either have the rights or we don't have the creativity to do going forward, and we still want to use everybody's favorite characters, so we'll just do a prequel. You know what I mean? But at the same sense, it's like, well, now you are limiting yourself storyline-wise, right? I know this character can't die, right? I know that. I think, I just came back from watching Sin City: A Dame to Kill For, and I was so confused because I thought it was a prequel, but then at some parts it seemed like a sequel, and then I realized like they just didn't care. They're just being like, we'll just give everybody the characters they like, and we'll throw
Sin
sort of
City,
timeline to the wind and just go for
Sin
it.
City doesn't really have a timeline.
No, I know. But I think it benefits from that rather than it's a prequel, so we can't do this. They're just like, we'll just do kind of whatever we want. That's what people want to see. So I agree with you in that the prequel, not. Again, limiting in what they can do, I'd sort of handcuffs them a bit. So, for me, sequels way more interesting than prequels in terms of storyline capabilities.
I also wonder if they did that so they wouldn't have to handle the comic writers' more political content that he's kind of been in trouble for.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, apparently in the actual comic he said some things about some current events that people got pretty upset about.
Wow. I didn't know
Frank
that.
Miller? Controversial?
No, Fables guy.
Oh, Fables. Oh, okay, sorry. I thought we were talking about Sin City. Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Well, I mean, everyone knows that Frank Miller's insane at this point.
I just wanted to make sure, okay.
Okay. So the creator of Fables has gotten himself into some hot water on several occasions. So I wonder if they were trying to avoid that coming up. And
I imagine the rights issue must be tricky, right? Maybe they want to do a sequel, but maybe they can't do that, or maybe there's limiting stuff they can do with the characters. So there's sort of a blessing and a curse when you base something on a pre-existing franchise, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, my idea there probably doesn't hold a lot of water after what happened recently with The Walking Dead. So, who knows?
Yeah.
I will say one more thing about
go ahead.
I just want to briefly touch on the action sequences. Now, I think they started out really strong. They started out really, really strong. I think that's kind of like after The Walking Dead Season 1 where the weak point was, the action sequences. Wolf Among Us really stepped it up, especially in that very first fight in Episode 1 is really a really good way to start that series. And then all of a sudden, I feel like Episode 5, even though it's cool looking, the stuff you do in that episode, without getting into specifics, it was kind of annoying. Especially one fight in particular near the end. I think you might know what I'm referring to, Henry. I really didn't like it. I think it kind of squandered a lot of the.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't. I thought it was a pain. I was like, I didn't like the character either that you were dealing with in that situation. Like it seemed like a kind of a waste. I feel like that series was really good when they were only dealing with action sequences not that often. And in Episode 5, I feel like they needed. There's like, it's the final episode. We need to get more action in here, But no, it's okay. You don't need that.
Not your thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was okay with it for the first half of the series, but I feel like I started going overboard, especially in that last episode. Man, this is just getting horrible.
It's pretty. It's tough, man.
Man, guys, what do I do?
Someone, chat saying I can't. Boggles my mind. Basically, what we're saying is, it boggles my mind that trying to beat this game with no continues.
I've done it once. I've done it once in my life, and
this is no joke.
I was a kid. I was the same kid who beat Mike Tyson and the Contra games by myself, and
that does not surprise me.
This kid does not. That kid does not exist anymore. I'm not that kid. So
no.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up soonish, but let's talk about one more game. Andrew, did you want to touch upon your experiences with lately with Diablo 3?
Yes. All right. Let's do that. So Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition came out on PS4 and Xbox One last week. It is as the game clearly states on the box, it is the ultimate version of Diablo 3, especially at least on consoles. And and basically, I have never played Diablo 3 before. I kind of lost interest in that style of game a long time ago.
Okay.
Like I tried to get into Torchlight and all those types of games, and I it just grabbed me. Even Borderlands, like by the time I got to halfway through Borderlands 2, I was like, I really like it, but at the same time, I'm like so tired of loot games. And I even wrote about why I have my problem with loot games, New Game Plus a while ago. If anyone wants to dig that up, that's one of my favorites that I wrote.
Right.
But so yeah, I was going into Diablo 3. Okay, so first things first, I'm playing this co-op with my girlfriend. That's the only way I'd be able to get through this, because otherwise I'd be bored out of my mind, to be completely honest. But co-op, these games are really, really cool, even if having to sort through loot for me is still really tedious. So being able to play this game for the first time, the Ultimate version, this is something I almost never do. Like, I know a lot of people are like, okay, wait for the Game of the Year edition, wait for like the version with all the DLC, with all the extra content. I'm the guy who buys these games day one and then maybe gets the extra content later on, but sometimes doesn't bother with it. So this is like the first instance in a long time where I just waited. And it's just like, I'm just going to play this. They announced it for PS4 a while ago. I was like, I'll just play that version since I'll have a PS4. And then the regular console version came out, and I was like, I almost bit the bullet. But then I decided not to, and I'm so glad I waited, because this is probably the best version of Diablo 3. I think, I don't know if this is a controversial opinion or not, but I think playing Diablo 3 with a controller is way better with a mouse and keyboard. Personally, just having the ability to roll, like, it's not a significant thing, but it's cool. It's really cool that you can do it. I feel like it kind of harkens back to a lot of games I grew up with, like the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games on consoles and stuff like that. So, like, even though I grew up with Diablo 1 and 2, I really enjoy playing these games on consoles more so. That's also part of the reason why I waited.
Blizzard did a really good job figuring out.
I think I was going to say I came in at the wrong time, because I got to Diablo 3 right when it first launched, and it seems like they've made the game so much better.
Yeah, I can't imagine playing that game at launch with all the problems they were having.
Oh man, I was going to say, like, this is good but not great, but every time I hear about the new expansion or like the new patch, everything just seems way better.
It is. I mean, even if you just pick up the PC version now, you're pretty much getting one of the best version of the game at this point. Like,
okay.
It's really cool. And although I haven't tried the new class that was added with the expansion, the Crusader, my girlfriend's been playing that class, and it seems awesome. Especially if you're like hard hitting, like tank, melee classes, it seems like a really good fit. Man, yeah. So
Cool.
I don't really have much to add about it, because I feel like, Diablo 3 has been talked about to death, even by us. So it's just it to me is the best version. Like the PS4 and Xbox One version is the best version of this game, especially if you've never played it before and are looking for a cool loot game, maybe to hold you over until something like Destiny comes out. It might be worth checking out. It's great. Play it in co-op. Local co-op is awesome. You'll probably have a lot of fun. Even if you're like me and you're kind of like tired of the style of game, there's a lot to like about it, and it's cool that it's Diablo's on consoles again, even though that happened last year with the first release. It's just cool that Blizzard is supporting consoles again like this. So yeah, that's about it. And also, I'm not going to get through this level, Henry. I can't do it.
Don't worry about it, buddy. This looks incredibly tough.
See, let me just say, in my defense. Actually, I don't have anything in my defense. I don't know what it is with this level. You guys were watching. I was doing pretty good, I would say.
Dude, it's a treasure game. Dynamite Headdy is very, very difficult. I remember, like, literally, my buddy and I were playing this, and he'd owned the game for years, and we could never beat twin freaks, like, ever. It was just not in our makeup. So nothing to be ashamed of here. It's a treasure game. Treasure games are meant to infuriate and frustrate, but also bring a lot of joy, because they are one of the best.
If you guys don't
developers.
mind, let me finish out this last life.
Do it.
We'll see if I can
do it up. Lucas, any closing thoughts here on Dynamite Headdy or I guess Diablo?
Well, you can read my review of the first console version of Diablo 3 on the website.
Yeah, you should read that totally.
No, but yeah, I mean, they approached putting the game on console in just a way that made sense. I believe they had talked a lot about kind of going back and forth on different control schemes, and they kind of nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to see. Companies, I think, are getting better overall at listening to consumer feedback and changing things. I look at Square with Final Fantasy, or Square Enix with Final Fantasy 14. Maybe the venues are just better, or maybe people are getting better at appreciating customer feedback about what they want and what they don't want. So, really, really nice to see.
I will say one last closing thought on Dynamite Headdy. Don't let this discourage you. This game's awesome. If you can get past that awful level, there's a lot more awesome stuff. There's a shoot 'em up level later on. It's really cool. Some really cool bosses. The final boss is a pain in the ass, but again, final boss in a treasure game. Real quick before we go, I guess I'd show off some of the Retron menu here. So what's cool about the Retron is you can just jump into the game, and when you put the cart in after you pull it out, it will pick up right where you left off, which is really cool. Right. You don't even have to worry about save states. It'll just load right where you left off thanks to the emulation.
That's awesome.
And then you have cheat codes, which I don't want to use, but hey, they're here and they're pretty cool. If you want to I can just turn invisibility on and maybe I'll beat that boss. And then also you can copy saves from the Retron and back to the cart, and vice versa. So, like we mentioned last time, if you have a dead battery in one of your carts, you could still play the game through the Retron, and you can keep the save on the system itself, and you won't have to worry about Obviously, you can't play that cart on the original hardware anymore, but you'd still be able to get some life out of it. So, stuff like that's really cool. It's just a cool system. You can mix and match controllers. You can use the Super Nintendo controller with Genesis games, vice versa. Yeah, I think it's a worthy purchase, and so here, I'm going to tell everyone, go out, get a Retron, and if you do, pick up a copy of Dynamite Headdy for super cheap, and maybe a Genesis controller, and have yourself a good time. Utilize those save states.
Play all Game Boy games?
Yes. Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. Yep. Sweet. I don't know about stuff like Kirby's Tilt and Tumble or WarioWare Twisted. I mean, they might work, but you'd have to hold the system.
So I could pop Donkey Kong Land in that sucker.
Yes,
and
I will say I haven't tried that particular game, but even Game Boy games look incredible on this system. So,
awesome,
pretty cool.
Very cool. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Great. Andrew, you want to close this out?
Yeah, sure. Thanks to Henry and Lucas for joining me, looking back at my favorite Genesis game after, I guess we could call this our Genesis retrospective month here on Snack Time, kind of unintentionally. Next time, I don't know what we'll be doing. I don't want to make any promises, but Destiny's coming out, so maybe something like that. If not,
we'll have a PS4. I don't know.
Yeah, hey, that'd be cool. But yeah, if that doesn't happen, we'll probably maybe pull out some more old games, because why not? Until then, I'm Andrew, and I'll see you guys later.